Young and the Restless Spoilers. Welcome back to our channel, Y&R Fam. Today is a beautiful day to dive deep into the absolute madness happening in Genoa City. And we have so much to unpack right now. Grab your coffee or your wine, because we need to talk. I cannot believe they did that. I am literally sitting here typing furiously at 2 a.m. because my brain is completely fried from what just went down with Victor and Nikki. I mean, are we seriously doing this right now? Are we actually watching the great Victor Newman stoop to a level so low that it makes his past crimes look like a walk in the park? I am so sick to my stomach, but at the same time, I am screaming at my screen, cheering for Nikki, because finally, the woman is waking up. But oh my God, the cost, the absolute tragedy of what it is taking for her to see the truth. So we all know Nikki has been dealing with these agonizing, worsening headaches, right? For weeks, she's been brushing it off, acting like it's just her MS acting up, being her usual stubborn self. But it's not just MS. Nikki is realizing that she is dying. Read that again. Nikki Newman is facing her own mortality in the most brutal, terrifying way possible. And instead of her husband of decades holding her hand, comforting her, and making her final days peaceful, what does Victor do? What does this man do? He sees an opportunity. He sees a moment of weakness, and he strikes like a vulture. He actually had the audacity to demand that Nikki sign over entirely all of her Newman assets and properties to him. I am sorry, but what? The woman is literally confronting the end of her life. Her body is failing her. She is in excruciating pain, and Victor is sliding legal documents across the table like it's just another Tuesday boardroom meeting. I've been watching since 2015, and this is without a doubt the absolute worst, most vile, most irredeemable thing they've ever done with his character. I know some people are loving this dark, ruthless Victor era, but personally, I am disgusted. It's one thing to be a ruthless businessman. It's another to prey on your dying wife to consolidate your empire. I can just picture the scene playing out right now. Victor walking into a room, his hands in his pockets, using that low, gravelly, condescending tone of his. Nikki, my baby, you are not well. Let me handle the burden of your assets. It's for the good of the family. UGH. It makes my skin crawl. He frames his power grab as an act of love. He always does this. He wraps his toxic need for control in a blanket of protecting the family, but we all know the truth. He doesn't want to protect the family. He wants to own them. He views Nikki's assets not as her life's work, but as puzzle pieces he needs to complete his absolute monopoly over Genoa City. But here is the beautiful, tragic silver lining. This is the moment Nikki's blinders finally come off. For years, no, decades, we have watched Nikki make excuses for this man. We have watched her turn a blind eye when he manipulated Nick, when he crushed Victoria's spirit, when he pitted his own children against each other for a spot at the Newman Enterprises desk. But facing death changes a person. Nikki knows her legacy isn't simple. She knows that if she signs those papers, she is handing Victor the ultimate weapon to destroy her children. She is realizing the naked, horrific truth about the man she married, and she is not going to let him win. Because, let's talk about Nick and Victoria. There is no way in hell they are going to allow Victor to seize total power. They just won't. Nick is already going through absolute hell right now. I mean, the man was in a horrific crash. He's battling a fentanyl and cocaine addiction. He's dealing with the trauma of Matt Clark. He's practically torturing him and his family. Nick is broken. And Victor has been using Nick's addiction as just another pawn in his sick game. Wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, back to the point. The point is, Nick is vulnerable, but Victoria is hardened. Victoria has been begging Nikki to see a doctor. Victoria knows something is terribly wrong. And if Victor tries to cut them out of their mother's legacy, Victoria will burn Newman Enterprises to the ground. And Victor's timing is so maliciously calculated. He knows Nick and Victoria are distracted. Nick is literally fighting for his life right now. The man drove his car off a cliff because he was hallucinating Matt Clark after being pumped full of drugs. Nick is lying in a hospital bed. His brain might be permanently damaged. His addiction is completely out of control. And Victor is using that because Victor will look at Nikki and say, look at our son. He's an addict. He's broken. He can't manage your estate. You must give it to me. It is sick. He is weaponizing his own son's tragedy to pressure his dying wife. And then there's Victoria. Oh, Victoria. She has been the loyal soldier for so long, desperate for Victor's approval, sitting in that CEO chair, playing his games. But this is going to be the line she cannot cross. Victoria loves her mother fiercely. When she finds out that Victor tried to swindle Nikki on her deathbed, Victoria is going to snap. I am predicting a full-blown corporate coup. Victoria is going to team up with Nick if he survives and gets clean, and they are going to lock Victor out of Newman Enterprises forever. And Nikki is going to be the one to give them the keys. Nikki is going to tell them everything. That is my prediction, and I am so here for it, but I am also dreading the emotional devastation it's going to cause. Nikki is going to sit Nick and Victoria down, look them in the eyes, and tell them the naked, unvarnished truth about their father. She is going to expose every lie, every manipulation, every time Victor chose his company over his flesh and blood. Can you imagine that scene? Melody Thomas Scott is going to act the absolute house down. Give her the Emmy right now. She is going to strip away the myth of the great Victor Newman and show her kids the monster hiding behind the mustache. Think about what must be going through Nikki's mind right now. She is sitting in that massive, empty ranch house, feeling her body betray her, and realizing that the man she gave her youth, her love, and her loyalty to is just waiting to pick her bones clean. It has to be the loneliest feeling in the world. She has fought off cults. She has fought off alcohol. She has fought off Diane Jenkins. But the one thing she couldn't fight off was the rot inside her own marriage. I mean, it is just Shakespearean levels of tragedy. She knows that her legacy is the only shield her children have left. If she gives up her power, she is essentially feeding Nick and Victoria to the wolves. And Nikki, for all her flaws, has always been a fiercely protective mother. She is not going to go quietly into that good night. She is going to go out roaring. Remember when they tried this kind of corporate takeover storyline with Ashland Locke? Yeah, didn't work then either, but at least Ashland was an outsider. Victor doing this to his own wife is a whole different level of betrayal. It reminds me of the time Victor faked his own death just to test his family's loyalty, or when he brought in a fake Jack Abbott. But this is permanent. If Nikki dies, there is no coming back from this. Victor is trying to rewrite the Newman legacy so that H.E. is the sole dictator, erasing Nikki's contributions entirely. He wants total control, and he's willing to step over his dying wife to get it. I mean, part of me thinks, well, it's Victor, what'd you expect? But then another part of me is just so heartbroken for Nikki. She loved this man. She defended this man against everyone, against Jack, against Paul, against her own kids. And this is her reward. A pen and a legal contract while she's dying? It makes me want to throw my remote at the TV. And what about Adam? Is Victor going to use Adam to enforce this? Probably, because Victor loves to pit the siblings against each other. So we're probably going to see Adam forced to choose between his father's ruthless power grab and his own basic human decency. And you know what? This just proves that Jack Abbott was always the better man for her. I said what I said. Jack would never do this to Nikki. Even with all his current drama with Diane being missing and Patty Williams blackmailing him for sex, which is a whole other level of crazy that I can't even get into right now, Jack would drop everything to be by Nikki's side if he knew she was dying. He would hold her hand. He would cry with her. He would honor her wishes. But Victor brings a lawyer and a fountain pen. It is so utterly heartless. So the $1,000,000 question, will Nikki sign those papers? I am betting my entire life savings that she won't. I think she might pretend to. I think she might hold the pen, look Victor dead in the eye, and then rip the contract to shreds. Or better yet, she signs it, but she secretly has Michael Baldwin draw up a superseding trust that locks Victor out completely and hands the reins directly to Nick and Victoria. Yes. Oh my God, please let the writers do that. Let Nikki have the final laugh. Let her legacy be the one thing Victor cannot control. If Nikki does this, the war that is going to erupt in Genoa City will be biblical. Victor won't just be mad, he will be apocalyptic. But Nick and Victoria will have the moral high ground, and for the first time, they will have the undeniable proof that their father is exactly who everyone always warned them he was. Nikki's sacrifice, her final act of defiance, will be the catalyst that finally breaks Victor's hold over his children. I am terrified for Nikki's health. I really am. But I am so incredibly hyped for her to finally take her power back. And can we just talk about the pacing of this show right now? They have us dealing with Diane being locked in a padded cell by some fake doctor, Phyllis dodging AI evidence and getting Christine arrested, Nick crashing his car while high on drugs, and now Nikki is dying and Victor is stealing her assets. It is too much, but I am glued to my screen. I literally cannot look away. But the Nikki storyline is the one that hits the hardest because it's legacy, it's history. You don't just mess with Victor and Nikki without shaking the entire foundation of The Young and the Restless. So, yeah, I am a total mess. I am crying for Nikki, I am raging at Victor, and I am praying that Nick and Victoria absolutely obliterate their father in the boardroom. Let me know if I'm the only one who is this worked up, because I feel like I'm losing my mind over here. Victor Newman is officially the biggest villain on this show right now, and I will not hear otherwise. Nikki deserves better. Her kids deserve better. And Victor deserves to lose everything, period.